If you have flown to Montenegro, then watch this video to find out the 11 best sites and historical places of Tivat according to historian, guide and resident of Montenegro Nikolai Stepanov. Tivat appeared at the end of the 19th century as a naval base, and these houses, barracks, houses for officers began to be built around it. And, of course, the first to appear here were Austro-Hungarians. The seaside town and municipality of the same name Tivat looks like a beautiful and spoiled younger brother of the neighboring cities of Kotor and Herceg Novi in the family of Montenegrin towns. The thing is that it is several times smaller than its neighbors in area. The municipality of Tivat is 7 times smaller than Kotor and 5 times smaller than Herceg Novi. Even the international airport that bears the name of this city belongs to Tivat only up to the middle of the runway. The second half of the airport belongs to neighboring Kotor. The city is beautiful, but the situation with the beaches here is tough, to be honest. Here is Kaladover Beach, one of the largest beaches in Tivat, a landmark airport behind my back. By the way, it will be very interesting for children to relax here, because airplanes take off, land, you can wave your hands. The sites of Tivat represent completely different eras, different stages of the life of the Bay of Kotor. Tivat itself is the youngest city on the coast of Montenegro, and the reason for this, again, is its flat relief. In the Middle Ages, builders used rocks or hills given by nature to erect fortifications. Under the protection of such a hill with fortification, people began to live, trade, and cities grew. But the local plain gave rise to a saltworks that existed for more than 800 years. And the economy of these places was largely related to the protection of salt mining. In fact, all the sacred objects that are nearby, even the city of Kotor, a neighboring beautiful huge medieval city, would not have appeared in the rich form we see now, if there were no Salavania. The second part of the Tivat attraction is associated with the naval base founded here in the 19th century and the life of the military city, its sailors, officers and civil servants. And now let's take a closer look at what you can visit in Tivat. Behind my back is St. Mark's Island, the largest island of the archipelago, and according to the legend, and it is a fact that there are Venetian engravings, there was a garrison of Stradiotes. Stradiotes were military mercenaries of mainly Greek origin, and the island is still called Stradioti among the locals. Now this island is overgrown with greenery. The new owners are not doing anything in terms of construction on it, and this is pleasing. Access to St. Mark's Island is officially closed, but nothing prevents you from asking a local boatman to take you there. On the island, you will feel like a real Robinson. The frames of the old hotel are swallowed up by greenery, and the traces of the Venetian fort have long swallowed up several meters of sand and earth. Island Gospa od Milo. With the arrival of the Venetians in these places, the Venetians appeared in the bay in 1420. The island of the Virgin Mary of Mercy began to be mentioned in the chronicles. That is, it is called a toc among the locals. It is behind my back. And for a long time there was a Catholic monastery, and some say that there was a natural fortification of the Venetians at the entrance to the Saltern. Now the island and the monastery belong to the Catholic Church, but monks do not live on the island. You can easily sail here by boat or sup, but swimming in the area of the island is prohibited due to the adjacent rocky spurs. Tivat Saltern is so carefully surrounded by a semicircle of 3 islands, it is called the Kartola archipelago, and these 3 islands certainly played a significant role in the defense of the Tivat Saltern from the Middle Ages, perhaps until the Napoleonic Wars. The Saltern is the most important strategic object of about 150 hectares. In bloody battles, the Serbs, Venetians and Turks divided among themselves. Now the former Solovania is just a bird sanctuary, where, by the way, it is interesting to walk with children and look for huge snow-white herons with your eyes or with the help of binoculars. The Island of Flowers and the Monastery of Michael the Archangel. This is the closest island archipelago to the Saltern. It is also a peninsula. A bridge was thrown across it to temporary Yugoslavia and there was a military sanatorium. But the history of this island is connected more with the excavations that are behind me from the era of the Northern Kingdom of the 13th century. These temples that are behind are of the 13th century. Of course, at that time the Serbs flourished and they had the center of the metropolis in this place. After that, unfortunately, in the 15th century, the monastery faded away, and the story is connected with the fact that the Venetians did not want an Orthodox monastery nearby. And, according to the legend, they even poisoned all the brethren of the monastery, so the place is a little burdensome. But there is a very beautiful monastery. Its church was in a very beautiful place, as you can see, overlooking the bay. You can go to this island, peninsula, just come and wander around it. Don't be surprised, but nondescript sanatorium houses here are still inhabited. In the dashing 19th and 20th centuries, refugees from the civil war in Bosnia and Herzegovina were settled here. Some of them still live here. Other former refugees moved to more comfortable housing, but left these houses behind them in the form of country houses. But don't worry, the locals don't interfere with walking on the island at all. For travelers who go to the island of flowers to see flowers, please come in June so as not to be disappointed, because it is in June that the blooming of oleanders begins along the perimeter of the entire island of flowers. Here white, pink, red ones appear, but out of season you will find only irises, maybe some other small flowers. The embankment and pier of Pine. We are located on Gradska Riva. Pine, Gradska embankment. Sorry, I will use two languages. Italian is very popular here, it is still in toponyms. Pine reminds us of the piñas, of the beautiful pines that still grow in Rome. And these pines used to grow here too. Pine is the promenade, the real soul of the city, this young city of Tivat. All life was concentrated around this promenade. They used to sail here. Huge ships used to sail here from the city of Fiume. Now it is called the river of traveling ships. Austro-Hungarian officers and sailors came here to serve. Here they went on dates with young women of Slavic or non-Slavic origin, and all life was in full swing here. They got married, held weddings and so on. All cultural life was concentrated around this embankment, and now life here is in full swing. Come here and have a coffee overlooking this beautiful bay, the Bucha Palace, Kotor. The noble family of Bucha in the 14th and 15th centuries were known for their diplomats, theologians, financiers, entrepreneurs. The constrained space inside the walls of medieval Kotor forced nobles to look for places to relax and retreat outside the city walls. Such a summer cottage, in the local language Letnikovts, was the local fortified Venetian chamber, which we can now see in the center of Tivat. The Bucha family influenced the relationship between Dubrovnik and Kotor, and between Kotor and Serbia. They were the financiers of the Serbian Tsar. At the same time, in relation to Dubrovnik and Serbia, they also saved the trade routes between these centers, so to speak, of economic influence, and were very rich, of course. That is, imagine, you need to keep guards for such a tower. Inside there was a small church of St. Michael, and, of course, with a view of their favorite Sultan, because the Bucha family had a share in the Tivat Sultans. Large city park. There is a park in the city of Tivat which is a rarity in the Montenegrin coast. The park has a collection of exotic trees that sailors brought from all over the world, from Japan to Canada. Walking in the park is a favorite pastime for many residents of Tivat. Since 2015, the city park has been awarded the status of natural monument. The park connected the courtyards of a secondary school, a clinic and sports courts. This former fleet of sailors was founded at the beginning of the 20th century by the Austrian Baron Admiral Maximilian von Sternegg. The monument to the botanist Baron stands right in the center of the park. There are monuments not only to the Baron. There are monuments to the revolutionaries who rebelled in 1918 on the same Austro-Hungarian ships. There is a monument to the patriots who blew up in 1941 so that the Italian occupiers did not get it, a patrol boat in the bay opposite the Kartal archipelago. Everything here in this park is concentrated. It is very quiet, cozy with benches, and it is also very close to the port of Montenegro. You can relax here, go there to modernity. Porto Montenegro. In Tivat itself, tourists and residents are attracted by the elite city within the city, Porto Montenegro, converted by investors into an elite town, the base of the Yugoslav Navy. the modern owner of the complex, the State Investment Fund of Dubai. Now the port of Montenegro is a kind of Montenegrin Monaco with numerous restaurants and shops. The Museum of Naval Heritage. Modern Montenegro does not need a large navy, but the memory of the old times and the fleets of Austria-Hungary and Yugoslavia based in these places is preserved in the Naval Museum of Tivat. The museum consists of an internal exposition and ships of exhibits located in the open air in front of the museum building. Inside the small museum building on its 2 floors, you can see naval equipment, weapons taken from warships, combat swimmers' equipment, navigation instruments from different eras. Among the ship's exhibits there are not only 2 submarines, Una and Hero, from the times of socialist Yugoslavia, but also the ship Barbara, a real veteran of the Yugoslav Navy. It was built in 1926 in Germany. This hard worker worked for 50 years. Barkas still served the Yugoslav kingdom before World War II, but its main merit is that for 50 years it transported workers from the entire Patricen Bay and Perosta to Kumbor, to work here in the Tivat arsenal. And, in fact, it was 50 years old, led by one captain, and it became a member of the family of many residents and workers of this bay. And it is not for nothing that there is a memory of its 50-year experience and labour feat, a true labour feat, of which our today's life stands. The Adriatic Highway. The Adriatic Highway passes through Tivat and connects the countries of the South Adriatic, Greece and Albania, with the Croatian autobahn leading towards the rest of the EU countries. This road creates colossal problems for the city in the form of hour-long summer traffic jams, but at the same time provides the city with numerous tourists. In its modern concreted form, the highway in the Tivat area has been operating since 1966. At the time, naval landing self-propelled barges were transferred to transport an increased number of cars for the needs of the ferry crossing. Their work on the ferry crossing to feed the Kaminari can still be seen today. Generations of ferries changed. Right now we are seeing a ferry of the former landing barge of the Yugoslav People's Army and they are living out their lives, and the next ferry has already been purchased, huge, roomy, but all this is gradually changing. And we are in a very beautiful place. The Verage Strait. All this is within walking distance from Tivat. You can walk here, already a real adventure. Go to the ferry crossing. By the way, it is free on the other side. If you are not on a bicycle, motorcycle, or car, you can cross for free and then go on a regular bus of the local line to Herceg Novi. The founders of the ferry crossing are considered to be local residents Spiro Milosevic and Spiro Sekulovic. In 1896, they were able to transport Prince Nicholas car on interconnected boats. Regular transportation across the Verigi Strait in the Tivat area began in 1920 by the Aranzula brothers. Their ferry was called Zatora. Locals now call the ferries in the highway Zetas. The small area does not prevent Tivat from being the leader in Montenegro in terms of the number of attracted investments per square kilometre and per capita. In addition to the 2 recently built projects of more than billions of dollars in investment, Porto Montenegro and Lustica Bay, smaller hotels and tourist complexes are already being built on the territory of the Tivat municipality, but more promising in terms of payback. But about this in another video. Subscribe to the channel, like if you liked it, ring a bell notification if you don't want to miss new episodes about Montenegro, and write in the comments what you want us to tell you more about.